In this video, we're going to have a look at how to work with opportunities in CRM. So I'm in the opportunities section now from the main menu, and opportunities is basically our sales pipeline. The terminology is different for each business. Some people call them leads, some prospects, some inquiries. So for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to call them leads. So the idea with opportunities in CRM is that all of our leads come in and then we manage them to an outcome, which is one of two things. We either win them and they become a customer, or we lose them and they don't proceed anywhere. So all of our opportunities, regardless of their outcome, will show in this area. So how do we work with them on a day-to-day basis so that we can churn through them effectively and make sure that we're making the most of our opportunities? As with other areas of CRM, up the top here, you'll see that we have a couple of different view selections that we can make. So the view that we're in is always going to appear in this orange color. So this one is list view. That's just giving me a simple listing of my opportunities. If I have address details in the opportunities, I can also utilize map view by clicking on this map pin here. So what I can do is zoom out on the map or zoom in to various locations to be able to visualize my opportunity data. So you can see here I've got 4 in Melbourne, so I can click here to zoom in and then hover over each of the opportunities to see more detail about them. So this is a great way to visualize which areas I'm reaching with my campaigns. The other good way of looking at opportunities is to use the Kanban view. So we've got two options here. We can either look at our opportunities as to how they are according to their stage, or we can change this view and have a look at them according to salesperson. Now, the benefit of working with it this way is not only that we can visualize our data this way, but we can also quickly reassign records to other users or other stages. So in this pipeline view, I can see that the sales team has quite a lot on. So I'm going to be really nice and help them out by taking a couple of these leads and putting them in my queue to work with. I can also transfer something over to the admin team, and I can basically go and move the opportunities around the screen. If I switch back to the stage view, it's very easy to work with opportunities in bulk this way, because I can basically say, right, these people here weren't interested, drag them over to this column, these people I've done a quote for, these people I've done a quote for, and we can basically work through our options here. In both of those views, we can customize the stages or the salespeople that are shown just by ticking these boxes to choose which ones that we want to display. So this is a really good way for working with your records in bulk. One of the other ways, if we come back to list view to work with your records in bulk, is to update the values for multiple records at once. So there might be a situation where we want to reassign multiple opportunities to a particular user, or change their start dates, or mark them as won or lost, or put in a follow-up date or a close date. So what I can do is select a couple of opportunities here on the list by using these radio buttons down the side, and then come and click on Update here in the toolbar. So what this gives me access to are all of the fields on the opportunity form that I can update in bulk. So in this case, I'm going to go and reassign these leads to myself, and I'm also going to go and change the source of business on them so that they've all come from the website, and I can go and pick from various different fields in here, like probability, I'll give them all 50%, and that is going to go and update the records in bulk rather than me having to do each of them individually. So between bulk update and Kanban view, you've got a couple of different ways that you can work with opportunities in bulk. Now let's have a look at how we get our opportunities into the system, because there are a couple of different ways that this can be done. We can come into opportunities and we'll see that we have two buttons here, this blue button for new and a bigger orange button up here for a new opportunity. Clicking the blue button gives me a quick short form. So this is great if I've got a phone inquiry or I really quickly want to throw some data into the system. This just gives me the basics so that I can input the data, save it, and then move on. If I click on the larger new opportunity button up here, what this will give me is the full opportunity form. So this will allow me to modify all of the details when I'm initially inputting the record, then save it and close it. Now it's worth noting that even if you do the short form and throw in some initial details, we can save it, then find the record on the list and come back and change it later. So it essentially won't matter whether you use the short or the long form, it just depends how much time you have to get it into the system when you're entering the data. So as well as entering something from the opportunities area, we can also come and open a company or a contact, and we'll see that on the toolbar we have an opportunity button. So this allows me to quickly get an opportunity in for that particular customer or that particular lead directly from their company or their contact record. If we come back to main list view in companies and contacts, you'll also see across the activity bar up here, we can also quickly enter an opportunity into the system this way. So there's a couple of ways that we can get that data into the system. If you're using our Outlook add-in called Inbox Insights, what you'll also be able to do is receive an email from a lead or an inquiry in Outlook, click on a button and have that record automatically come through, create a contact and an opportunity in CRM for you. So that's going to cut down on data entry and mean that you can efficiently transfer inquiries from an email into CRM. One of the other ways that we can get new inquiries and leads into CRM is in this marketing area with an area called web forms. So we've got a separate video on how to create web forms. So I'm just going to show you the basics of how we'd get an opportunity into the system. We can create a web form to go on our website to replace the current Contact Us, where people input their details, the inquiry comes through to us, and then we contact them to see how we can help. So in this case, I've built a form for Contact Us and I'm going to preview it here. So when I'm gathering details from the customer or the lead, I want their first name, their last name. I've got a mobile number as optional. I've got an email number as required. They can also put in the company that they work for and they can give me a bit of detail about what they want. So if I go and now fill in this form with some details, what I can do is see how CRM is going to create a new lead and a new company in this case, because I'm entering a company name into CRM for me without any data entry on the company's part. So you can see that form has now been submitted. If we come into CRM and come into opportunities and refresh this page, what we're going to have is a new opportunity come into the system for what I just created. So you can see here we've got a new contact inquiry. We can see when it was created today, it's put in my email address into the system, it's created a contact for me, and because I told it I worked for Tall Emu, it's also gone and created a company record. So in here, I can now go and start working with this and send an email to the opportunity, make a phone call, and basically log my activities on here, and also create quotes, sales orders, invoices, and eventually see payments when that opportunity has come through. So you can see that there are a couple of different ways to get opportunities into the system. Some involve manual data entry and some of them we can automate through either web forms or Inbox Insights. So with our opportunities, in my test system at the moment, I've only got 18, but in an actual business, this is going to turn into hundreds and then thousands very quickly. So how do we then make sense of these opportunities on a day-to-day basis so that they're easy to workflow? So the key answer to that is creating filters and layouts so that we can pull out chunks of opportunities with different stages and statuses. So if I come up to the top right-hand corner of CRM here, I've got a box that says filter. So what I can do here is go and create a new filter to pull out all of my one opportunities. So I will give this a name. With this filter, I can share it with my colleagues or I can untick this box and leave it as is and basically have this as a private view only. But because it's likely everyone will want to look at one opportunities, I'm going to tick this shared box. So what I then want to do is look up the status of opportunities and make sure that they equal 1. So this is quickly going to give me a view of all the opportunities that have been won in the system. So I'm not doing too well at the moment and I only have one opportunity that meets that criteria. If I then go and create a filter for lost opportunities, and we'll see what that one results in. So again, I'm going to share that with my colleagues, and I'm going to have a look at the status and make sure that it equals lost. Once I've added that, you can see that I've got 2 lost opportunities here. So now anytime I want to, I can come back and refer to these filters really quickly to pull up the information that I want to see. So filters is part of segmenting your opportunities. The other part of being able to sort through them effectively is the information that's presented to you in the layout here. So what you'll see is we have a number of columns that are visible here, but we can manipulate this to suit our purposes. So clicking at the top of a column, we get a little arrow here to indicate that the column sort order has been changed to ascending or descending. What we can also do is use any of the search boxes in here to pull out specific records. So even if I don't need a permanent filter, I can quickly look for a record by using these search boxes. Where we have date values in a column, we can also click on this little filter box and basically go and pick a date range that's been predefined. So I might want all the opportunities that have started this month. I don't have any, so let's go back a little bit further and say, let's have a look at all the opportunities from last year. There we go. So as well as creating a permanent filter, we can also just filter information here on the fly to suit our needs. Now to clear that filter, I can either click again here and clear the filter, or over on the left-hand side here, I can also clear the filter by clicking on the little red funnel, which brings me back to my original view. So as well as filtering and changing the sort order of our data, we can also click on the top of a column and drag it into a new position. So I might want the start date and the follow-up date to be more prominent so that they're easier to access and I don't have to scroll for them. So I'm going to pull these over here. I might also want to take the status of the opportunity and bring it a little bit closer to the front. So once I've got a configuration that I'm happy with, I can then go and save this as a layout in the system. So I'm going to call this my ops layout and also share that with my colleagues. So once I've done that, very similar to a filter, that's available for me to select in future or to clear. So this was my original view and now I can apply my layout to it. So I can have as many layouts and filters as I want so that it makes it easy to pull out opportunities. So when it comes to managing my own opportunities, I'm going to want to create separate filters in the system that allow me to easily workflow the leads that I need to be in contact with. So although we've got a couple of shared views here that show all lost and all won opportunities in the system, I'm going to want to create some of my own. So what I'll do here is create a new view for my own open opportunities. So this is just going to show me things that I need to work on. So because nobody else needs to see this, I don't need to tick the shared box. So now I need to go and build in some conditions. So first of all, I want to make sure that the opportunity is assigned to me. So it needs to contain my name. Then I want to make sure that the status of the opportunity is open and is not lost or won. So that's just going to display my open opportunities. So this is now showing me that I have a total of 4 opportunities to get in touch with. I can then go and apply my layout so that I've got the information as I would like to see it, and then I'll sort that by follow-up date. So what I would also want to do is create another filter for, you can see that private filter. I've got my own open ops in here. So I'm going to want some other filters for my own lost opportunities, my own opportunities according to various different stages, and also with different follow-up dates. So one that I recommend making is opportunities that have a follow-up date of this week. So ops to follow up this week. And it would help if I type that correctly. So again, this is just for my own purposes. I don't need to share that with anyone else. So I want to see the opportunities that are assigned to me. So it's got my name in the assignment field. And we also want something where it has a follow-up date. And once I add a date field here, you'll see that I get those same date parameters as when we were filtering the grid earlier. So I'm going to want to pick anything that has a follow-up date this week in it. So once I click OK, I've got nothing that meets that criteria. But once I do build up some opportunities and leads in the system, I'll be able to pull up that view and look at anything that needs to be followed up this week. So I can have as many of those different filters as I want. I could change this for opportunities to follow up today or this month or yesterday, this year, etc. So I can basically be really detailed about how I want to pull information out of the system to meet my workflow needs on a daily basis. Now, when it comes to all these options that we're filtering and sorting and adding to our layout, you do have a certain amount of control over them. So if we come into a new tab and come down to the admin area, scroll down, come to settings, and then come into opportunity settings, you can see that we have a number of options on the list. So each of these is a field on the opportunity form. So if we come back to opportunities and open the full opportunity form, we can see where these fields sit. So we have a type field, we have a stage field, we have a status field, we also have a probability field, a source of business, and who the record can be assigned to. So what we can do is change these options to suit our needs and our terminology. So however you currently segment your lead pipeline, you're going to want to input that information into CRM. So that starts with coming up with different types of opportunities. So you can basically have different areas of your business or different types of inquiries that you're adding in here. So we can add a new option to the list by clicking on Add, typing it in and saving it. We can remove an existing option from the list by selecting it and then clicking on Delete. And I can also move options up and down on the list. So I might want installation at the top. So I can use the arrows here to change the sort order of the values on my list. So we can do the type, but then what we have is the stages that you push your new leads through. And this is going to be different for every business. So that's why it's important to customize this to suit your needs. So the way that it works, a stage is tied to a particular type, because you may have different types of leads that come into the business and they're not all treated the same way. So this relationship between the two fields allows you to have different stages or different processes depending on the type of lead that's come into the business. So you can see here, I've got the stages that I've named, then I've got types in here. So this is showing me which each stage is linked to in terms of types. So you can see here, I can pick from my types. I might remove sales from that and just have installation and save that change. As well as linking stages to types, what we can also do is link a stage to a different status for the opportunity. So as we looked at initially, an opportunity comes in and is open, and we manage it to a conclusion of either lost or won. So the selection of a stage can automatically win, lose, or keep an opportunity open. So we can have a fair bit of action here that's built into these choices, so there's less manual administration work here. So for an example, a new inquiry comes in and I want the status of the opportunity to stay as open. Whereas I have an option on the list here where the client is not interested or the lead is not interested, and that's automatically going to change the status of the opportunity to lost. On the other hand, if they've accepted my quote, that's automatically going to change the status of the opportunity to won. So depending on the choices that people are making with the stages here, it's automatically going to update the overall status of the opportunity. So as well as the stage area here, we've also got a source of business. So because again, we're going to want to report on where our leads are coming from. So whether it's the web, phone, a particular campaign that we've run, because all of these choices here allow us to come back and create different filters to pull out opportunities according to different criteria. We also have a probability field here that's percentage based. So that lets us rank our possibilities so that we can spend our time on the ones with the highest probability of proceeding versus the people with an unknown or an extremely unknown probability. When we mark an opportunity as lost, we can also record in the system the reason why it was lost. So that's going to be crucial from a reporting point of view, so that in our opportunity pipeline, we can not only see all the opportunities that have come in, but we can see how many were won, how many are still open, how many are lost, and if they were lost, why was that the case? So this lets us specify a reason here. So once an opportunity is marked as lost, the system is going to ask you for a reason why. So we can add appropriate reasons to this list, and you'll also be able to type in some free text if you pick the other option. So if you've already started using opportunities and have then gone and configured these options, not to worry. We can come back into opportunities and select multiple records here and use this bulk update feature to change the values of records in bulk rather than having to do them individually. So as we looked at before, we can use that method, or we could also push them between stages or users by coming into Kanban view and dragging and dropping them. What happens is when I drag a record, I've got different options down the bottom of the screen. So I can quickly mark records as either removed from the system because they no longer need to be there, as lost, or as won. So you'll see that when I grab this record and drag it over the lost area of the screen here, CRM is going to ask me to input a reason why it was lost. So as well as picking one of the predefined options that I put in earlier, I can also add some notes into the system. What I can also do rather than marking something lost is mark it as won. So dragging it over the one option here will remove it from my view because this is just showing me the open pipeline rather than what is won or lost. So as well as changing statuses and assignments, we can also quickly win, lose and remove opportunities from Kanban view. Another thing that we can do in opportunities is if we've already set up filters, we can go and pick a filter from here and also apply it in Kanban view. So in this case, I'm going to bring up the filter for my opportunities, which is just going to show me my records. And you can see I've only got 4 in there. I can clear my filter and come back and see the full pipeline of open opportunities. So let's come back into list view and open a record and have a look at what a new opportunity looks like. So we've got our type, our stage, and our status information. You can see that we can also add a value into the system. So I'm going to edit this record and say that this is a potential sale worth $5,000. It started today. I expect to close this in a couple of weeks towards the end of May, but I need to follow it up next week to make sure that the customer is still interested. It's come from the website as per the web form that we used earlier, and there's a 50% chance that it's going to proceed. I can also type some notes in this box here to quickly note in anything important so that I can quickly see that when I next open the record. So if I save that, we can see that the changes will be applied here in the top view. Anything that I put in that description box is now prominent on the opportunity. So that's a great way of making notes to yourself about what the last action was or what the next action is that you need to complete. And you also see that the date values that I put in are now showing in the top right hand corner. Moving down a little bit further, we can attach documents to this opportunity record if we'd like by clicking on the paper clip and then going and selecting files. If you're syncing your emails across from Inbox Insight, what you'll be able to do is click on a button and automatically create an opportunity, but if that email has attachments, those attachments are going to come across and form part of the email on the timeline as well. So there's basically 2 ways to get attachments in, using the paperclip here or by syncing an email into CRM. So just like other records in CRM, the opportunity has a timeline where we can add a range of activities from SMS, email, meeting, tasks, calls, and notes, and I can quickly throw in information to form part of the record history. If I create any activities that are future dated, such as a call, a task, or a meeting, they'll show over in this planned activities area over here until I mark them as being completed. They're also going to show at the top of the page here in a next step. So let's put in a follow-up task for next week to see what that looks like. So I'll enter that in for next Friday and pick a time when I should touch base with the customer. I've assigned that task to myself and I've got my type and my status sorted. So now I can click on Save. So once that's saved, you can see that I have an upcoming task next week that I can quickly open or edit or delete from the system. If we scroll up to the top of the record, that task is now showing at the next step inside of CRM. So once I've marked that off as complete or changed the date to something closer, that will then disappear from the next step area and also the planned activity area. So it's a good way for being able to get a snapshot for what the next action on a particular record is. So if we come down a little bit further, what we'll see is this history section here. So we can see that the stage of the opportunity has been changed a couple of different times, twice by me, and once when the initial web form inquiry was submitted. So this is a quick way of seeing the history of the record. We can also add other influences to this opportunity. So there may be other involved parties. So we can click here to pick a contact and a company and basically put in their role in the transaction and have that as part of the opportunity history. Moving up again to the tabs, you can see that we have an activities tab where we can see tasks and notes and basically sort through these. We can also apply filters and go and change the columns and change the sort orders and also sort things by particular dates. So all the normal things that we can do in list view. When I'm ready to create a quote for the customer, I can do that by adding a quote using this button here. The same applies to sales orders and to invoices and also to payments. If this lead was a referral from another source, I can add that in here. I can also add any products that the customer is interested in and record my conversation about the pricing. So if this customer was interested in brownies, I could say that I'll do them for $1.75 as long as they order more than 500 and place the order before the end of the month. So I can then save that so that when I come back to the record, I've got some detail about what the conversation was. This also means that my colleagues can quickly see associated information as well. If we come back up to the top of the opportunity, in the event that you don't have quote sales or invoices or payment tabs across here that are visible, it could be that the contact or company that is attached to the opportunity isn't marked as a customer. If I open the company that is linked to this opportunity, what we're going to see that there's a particular box on the record that is ticked to indicate that this is a customer. So we can see Tall Emu, I sell to this company, so CRM turns on the sales functions. If I remove that sales function, save and close the company record, and come back and refresh the opportunity record, what we'll see is that those sales tabs are now gone. So if your opportunity record looks like this, what you'll need to do is come through to the company or the contact that it's linked to and ensure that the sales box is ticked. I sell to this company. Once we save and close that, we can come back and refresh our opportunity record again, and we'll see that those sales tabs have returned. So that is working with opportunities in a nutshell. Please let us know if you have any questions by giving us a call or emailing to helpdesk@tallemu.com. Thanks.